What's up, reprobates? What's up, reprobate? He reaching, ain't he?
Right? Correct. And what we look at
hey, this dude is a piece of shit, yo. The man already explained to you he's a lieutenant, man. The sergeant already said the same thing, man. The shit was unnecessary and uncalled for. You could kill him. They killed him. How George Chauvin paying for this guy? This is a high dollar double right here. Is the police union paying for this guy? That's an interesting question. If you reprobates will answer that for me. This is crazy. This guy's like
critical decision making model.
Hey, this guy is devilish as hell, yo. Listen to him. I'm gonna let y'all listen. Let you listen.
On a long career, that an officer is constantly taking in new information.
This guy's been on the force of 85 now. He's been a lieutenant for like 20 years, mind you.
That's right. And would you also?
He'd be like, I don't agree. You should see his face when he'd be like, he don't agree. You can see him thinking on the next diabolical question to try to. I'm sorry, the next cunning question to try to ask.
Yes. Obviously, the available.
Hey, I think he's over for it, man. Look at him, man.
A lot different today than they were.
It's like I tell y'all, reprobates, you're already dead.
Body cameras.
They like Drew Brees, don't they? Like with Drew Brees, just couldn't get it done on the field. They ain't look like Drew Breesy. He just can't get it done.
And some handcuffs and kind of old school cop, right? Yes. Now,
Police lieutenant restraint should have absolutely
the decision making.
not have been used.
Officer, would you agree that there are certain pieces of information?
He's never been trained to kneel on someone's neck.
That affect his
knee on the neck is top tier deadly force.
Yes. And some of
top tier deadly force.
Immediate kind of
he didn't even report this to his lieutenant. He was unaware that he even done that. He talked to this guy. But he said he was unaware that
what just happened
that he pussyfoot around what happened anyway to the superiors. They thought they were gonna have his back. Nobody don't got his back in this fucking courtroom but this piece of shit.
What are you looking at in that moment?
Man, not even the black cop.
Right?
Not even the black Negro cop. Nobody has his back, man.
In any situation, right? Right. You look at other things that may be hazards or threats in the immediate vicinity, correct? Yes. So you're gonna
live Human Action News, man.
Are there people videotaping?
Spanking Dawson, I am the full-blown Human. You know I'm on top of it. You know I'm checking it out.
You're gonna look at what we would refer to as scene security, right? Yes. You have a responsibility as a police officer for your partners who may be close to you, right? Yes.
You know, the LG Life is Good, Y'all's Mighty, you know, I'm getting it done. Human Action News.
Right? Yes.
You did.
So scene security is kind of trying to keep it as tight as possible and keep everybody in the area safe. Agreed? That's correct. Everybody.
I thought my TV was dirty.
A series of questions about your
my TV not dirty, you reprobates. You reprobates. You reprobates.
I said you were asked a series of questions about your medical training and an officer's medical what they're supposed to do. Right. Yeah. And even in the assessment of a medical emergency, there are many factors that come into that assessment. Correct? Yes. To your knowledge, Minneapolis.
He done disagreed about 12 times in the whole cross-examination by the defense, by the way, reprobates.
Paramedics, doctors, etc. That's correct. You're a first responder. Yes. Basically, you're taught how to apply tourniquets, patches for gunshots, stop bleeding, basic CPR, and resuscitative efforts, right? That's correct. A police officer's job primarily is to keep the scene safe. Agreed? I'm sorry. A police officer's responsibility.
He's already expressed, reprobate, that there was no danger, there was no clear and present danger to the cops from the so-called angry mob that was led by an 8-year-old child.
Involvement of a higher level of medical intervention if the circumstances dictate, correct? Yes.
That's his name,
and
Eric
an
Nelson.
officer is required, if someone is having a medical emergency, to take what steps they're able to reasonably in the moment, right? Yes. And that would include potentially calling EMS.
That's correct.
Duh.
But
These
then,
common
so you've
sense
got
questions
all
are not
these
helping your defense,
factors,
man.
right, that come into play. But then you can kind of widen that lens a little bit, and there are some other factors that come into play in terms of the use of force, again, based on your training and experience.
Yes.
I got the
Such
swivel.
as,
Hold on. I got the
what do we know
swivel.
about the location generally, right?
Yes.
Is this a field in the middle of the woods, or is this a higher crime area, right?
Yes.
An officer is evaluating that as a process, as a part of the process involving the use
Yeah,
of force.
the 8-year-old was gonna kill him, man. He stopped him from killing him, man.
You
There was
will
the
look at
8-year-old
other
girl, man,
things
with the natural
such
hair,
as
man.
Tactical advantages.
She was the
or
one that stopped him
disadvantages.
from saving his life, man, not killing him.
So if you are
Stopped him from,
if you are not
you
able
couldn't
to
save
do
his life and
what's
kill
called
him.
concealment or cover.
It was
that
the 8-year-old
becomes
girl.
a
It's the 8-year-old
question,
girl.
right?
She was a clear and present danger to him.
In what?
In the mind of
In the use of
reprobates.
force, you're
What would y'all think of
examining
next? What y'all could think of
surrounding
next, man?
area, right? To see if something happens, can I conceal and cover, right?
Yes.
You also, in addition to the scene security, you need to deal with securing the scene, which is different than scene security. Agreed?
Yes.
Scene security is maintaining the safety of everyone around, including yourself and your partners, right?
Yes.
Securing the scene is making sure that the scene itself is preserved and
White double guy.
tight,
Captain
right?
Caveman Guy. There's no excuse for what he
And in
done.
fact,
They
police
already know.
officers'
Everybody has already said that it was
use of
absolutely
force
unnecessary for him to
determination
put his knee on the back of that man's neck
to
for nearly
prevent
10
or avoid
minutes.
the use of force against other people. Agreed?
Yes, absolutely.
So if you have to use force against one person to avoid using force against others, that's a factor that an officer.
Yes, that's a fact, but there was no clear and present danger. What he's trying to do is
I don't agree with that.
thank you. He doesn't agree with that. Come on, man.
The training department.
I'll let y'all
people
listen.
Who are,
We don't agree
use
with
their
that.
jobs
We don't agree with that.
better to answer those questions.
Yes.
All right.
The crowd has already been
And
deemed
then even
as
from
not a
there,
threat
you can
by
widen the
every
lens even
professional
further, and an officer
involved
will
in
look
this
at his
case.
training, right?
Yes.
What he is trained to do or not to do, right?
Yes.
He will look and take into experience, or he or she will take into.
Doesn't look good for who? I
his
wonder
or
who
her
hired this
own
guy. Was it the
experience.
police union or was it one of you neo-Nazi type Captain Caveman
So,
extremist
things like,
groups?
fighting
Captain
with someone,
Caveman guys. I want to know who hired him. Any of you reprobates
possibility that person
know who
will
hired this guy?
continue fighting with you in the future, right? Even after you have them.
Who hired you, man?
I don't know. I don't think I can agree to that totally, but
Okay.
I understand what you're saying.
Man, he had been told, he had not been agreed with
After a person is
about 20 times, man. And every cross-examination, he disagreeing with this guy.
revive that
This is
person,
a,
that they are
he's been on the
more
force since
combative.
1985. If I'm not mistaken, he's been a lieutenant for over 20 years.
And again, in terms of your own past experience, an officer's own past experiences, they're taking that into
The
consideration.
threat level is just not there. The threat level was just not
Now,
there.
You
You white devil, reprobate Captain Caveman guys.
You have never been trained as a
Shame on you.
officer to use.
Shame on you, you Captain Caveman
That's
guys.
correct.
You would agree, however.
I think we're gonna get a
fight
conviction
for
out of
your
this one, man.
life, and generally speaking, in a fight for your life.
I think at the end that they're gonna try to do a post-trial
whatever
plea or some
force
shit,
is
man, for about
reasonable
25
and
years, man. He's
necessary,
done, man.
correct?
He need to get life, but he's facing 40
And
years.
that can even involve improvisation.
His guilty has already been proven
Yes.
on all three
Minneapolis
counts.
Police Department policy allows a police officer to use whatever means are available to him to protect himself.
He's
and
about to
others.
say necessary.
Yes.
So if there's
He
a
killing
paint
himself.
can sitting on the table and someone is attacking, you can use that paint can as a weapon.
Yes.
He asked this earlier.
And in fact,
We already know that.
you have been trained in the prone handcuffing techniques, correct?
Yes.
And it's your testimony that Minneapolis Police Department has never ever trained anyone to put their knee across the shoulder and to the base of the neck,
I didn't say that.
okay?
There you go. You know they put the words in your
Agree
mouth.
then that pursuant to Minneapolis Police Department training, when When a suspect is arrested and in the process of being handcuffed or being restrained, it would be consistent with the Minneapolis Police Department training you've received to place your knee across the shoulder to the base of the neck.
I don't know if I've, part of your question was handcuffing, and we've certainly been trained to put the knee on the shoulder, but I don't know about just restraining a person. I don't
With your
recall
knee on
being
their
trained
fucking
in that
neck.
way.
Okay. Again,
This guy's a
possible
fucking
based on
animal.
the circumstances.
Sure.
Right?
Straight
And
caveman,
when an
man.
officer
Damn, man, you
is
ain't in the caves, man. What type of
restraining
shit you
a person
on?
and
God
has
damn.
called for EMS.
No human being. This man
have
could be
you
the
heard
biggest
the
white
term
supremacist in
that
the
we're
world.
holding
Nobody
this
is gonna
person
agree
for
with this shit, man.
Yes.
He's still on the force of
Essentially,
lieutenant.
that
It's
means-
his department.
You want to keep them in that position until EMS arrives
Wow.
because they're more
Listen to
capable to deal with whatever this situation is. Agreed?
No, I don't think I would agree with that.
Okay, how would you describe the term hold for EMS?
Hold for EMS.
You're already dead. You're already in the cell,
holding
man.
him
PC.
for EMS
PC.
or-
Look at his face. It said
And
PC for me.
sometimes people
PC
are held
for me.
EMS in a restrained position. Agreed?
Send him to PC, man.
Now, you also testified that
Get him in PC.
once a person is handcuffed, the threat, I think you said, is gone. It's at the lowest,
Duh.
right?
Yes, that's correct.
Now, that obviously,
It's hard to be noticed
person
that
who's
he was
handcuffed
fucked
can
up
still
by
pose a
not
threat,
putting the man on his
right?
side. When you put a victim on the ground, because he was a victim, when you put that guy, a suspect on the ground,
I
and you
suppose
handcuff
it
them,
could,
the
yeah.
first you're supposed to do is
So
turn
an
them on
officer
either
who is
side.
even though he has someone handcuffed, that person could continue to kick the officer.
Yeah, I suppose, yeah.
That person could continue to thrash his body around. Agreed?
Sure.
And part of the reason police officers restrain people is for that person's own safety. Agreed?
Absolutely, yeah.
Now, it also presumes that the handcuffs were placed on correctly, right?
Yes.
Sometimes in a struggle or an
Got
attempt to
him.
handcuff
Got him.
someone,
Listen to this. Got
handcuffs
him.
aren't placed on properly and they can pop open or be too big for a suspect, right?
Yeah, I don't know if I've ever seen them too big, for a suspect. Sometimes they're too tight,
Okay. But if sometimes in the process of handcuffing someone, one handcuff goes on, thereby giving the
They're
suspect
mostly too
potential
tight. As a
weapon
juvenile,
if he
as a
were to break
kid,
free,
a child,
or she.
I was handcuffed by a cop and placed in the
And
back of a cop
officers
car.
have been attacked
I took
with their
myself
own
out the
handcuffs
handcuffs
in
because
your
I was a
experience,
kid,
Oh, yeah.
maybe in about 7th or 8th
So,
grade. I'm gonna say 8th grade.
You would agree
And I
that
stole
the
this
use
billy
of
club. I kept
force is
this
a
billy club. I kept it as a
is
souvenir for years,
dynamic,
by the way. I stole this billy club. If you had a pistol, I would have took that
of
too.
decision
I ain't lying.
making based on a lot of different information.
But the handcuff was too big. I was a child.
And it's based upon a lot of information that is not necessarily captured on a body camera. Agreed?
Yes, that's correct.
The body camera is only so effective to show what the body camera sees and not what the officer sees.
That's correct.
Look at him. Like, man, guys, you really guys are gonna lock me up, man.
Now, in terms of
Come on,
what
man.
you did in this particular case, essentially, you would be are you what's called Car 21? Is that the homicide unit? And I may
No, it's not.
Car 9? I don't know.
No.
You're just
No,
homicide.
you
There's some
don't.
car
No,
associated
you
with
don't know.
homicide, right?
Yeah.
What car is that?
You don't
Who
know.
would be car? Well, it would be like.
You don't know. Who paying this guy?
car
Somebody
one-
tell me.
112 or 108.
Who's paying this guy?
110.
Okay.
Cause they don't know eating cop with no rank.
So
He's
you
not
got
paying for
called,
this.
Or you were made
White
aware of this
supremacists paying for this,
incident
Lord.
back
White
on May
supremacists
25th of
losing right now.
2020. You understood it to be a
God's
critical
mighty.
incident, correct?
Yes.
And,
Esau's time is up.
It is Minneapolis Police Department policy to
Reprobates.
turn over the investigation of any critical incident, or the majority of critical incidents, we should say, to the Bureau of Criminal Apprehension, right?
Yes.
And that is to avoid any potential conflicts between the involved officers, right?
Yes, that's right.
And so your role, you heard this call came out, and you kind of self-assigned to show up here?
Yes,
And you did that because you wanted to make sure the scene was secure, right?
yes,
To make sure that the officers who had responded to the scene were doing the things that they should be doing in connection with a critical incident,
that's correct.
such as
Spanking
rolling
Dawson,
off or
Jehovah
tying
Action News.
off the tape, or taping off the scene, I should say, right?
Putting up crime scene tape?
Yes.
Yes,
Not permitting citizens to come wandering through the scene, right?
Yeah.
Y'all didn't secure the crime scene anyway.
Canvassing the area, I think you
We already
said.
went over that.
And ultimately,
Stop. He reaching harder
your
than a
role
motherfucker,
in this
boy.
particular case was limited to a couple of hours of time, making sure those things were done, and until BCA agents arrive and you handed off the scene, right?
yes, that's correct.
All right. And it was not until later that you were asked to review the body-worn cameras of the officers and consider the use of force, right?
Yes,
And it would not be within your normal role or job duties to do such a use of force analysis, right?
that's correct.
I have no further questions.
I bet.
You ready?
All right, before the council redirects, we're going to take a quick break. You're not going
Let
to
y'all check out the panel, man. I'm gonna get out of here, man.
Stay with
It's
us.
a panel of experts, man. Oh no.
If you look
Fuck
around,
that. It's
you'll see
commercial
the
time.
world can
I'll
be
get back
pretty
to this.
smart.